Welcome back to For Mature Audiences. Did you know there are 5 legal documents that every person over the age of 18 needs? If you don't know what they are, don't worry. This segment is dedicated to finding out what they are, what they do, and why it's important to know about them. Sherrie talked with a local expert and the executive director and client navigator at Jarvis Law, MaryBeth Pannapucci, who breaks it down for us.
I know you're not an attorney, but you are a client navigator, and the attorneys that you work with recommend that there are 5 documents that people should have in place for their end of life. And before we even talk about those 5 documents, let's talk about why these documents are important for people to fill out, why it's important for them, and why it's even important for their family members.
Sure. So the documents are important because it allows people to be able to do things for you when you're not able to, whether that be from a medical standpoint, from a financial standpoint, or a legal standpoint. Also being able to ensure that the things that are important to you go to the people you want them to go to. And then I think one of the important ones as well is what you want to have happen from a living will standpoint. So being able to tie all of those documents together and allow people to help you and to make decisions that you want to have happen.
Right. And I will have to say this. From what I have seen, what I have experienced personally, it's very traumatic for many family members to make these decisions, trying to keep in mind of what you want when these conversations and these documents aren't in place. There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of guilt.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this helps relieve a lot of that if we have these documents, these conversations, and then these documents in place.
Correct. It makes it easy for the people who are put in the place to be that decision maker, because you're completing these documents ahead of time. You're letting them know what your wishes are, so they don't have to struggle with making those decisions because you're giving them that guidance. And it's, I think, more about peace of mind and knowing that things are going to be the way you want them to be when that time comes. And again, just to relieve that burden from your family or the important people in your life who are going to be making those decisions in the end.
Okay, so let's start with these 5 documents. What's the first one we're going to talk about?
The first one is your last will and testament. And that's where you want your stuff to go once you're gone, once you've passed. So most of us believe, and I was one of these people until I learned differently. I thought if I have my will in place, I have everything I need, and all of my stuff is going to go exactly where I want it to go when that time comes. In Ohio, your will is just a guideline for the probate court. So the judge has the final decision. So when we complete that document with families, or these 5 basic or foundational documents, we also walk them through how to avoid probate, because that's a whole different journey in itself. And being able to help families to not have to go through that process, because it's extremely time consuming and very expensive as well. So it can take on average 6 to 12 months to get your stuff through probate. Whereas putting specific designations on specific things can allow all of your stuff to bypass that process. So we still recommend people have a last will and testament, so that if something gets missed and doesn't have the proper designation, there is at least a documentation of what your wishes are. So we don't want to have to use it, but still recommend it be in place in case.
Okay, what's document number 2?
Document number 2 is your general durable power of attorney. And all 4 of our attorneys on staff say if they could only have one legal document that would be the one they would select, because it names who are the people you want to be able to make financial and legal decisions for you if you're unable to. So you're in the hospital, you can't go to the bank, you can't transfer funds, whatever reason, somebody needs to pay the bills, buy groceries, keep the lights on. Who do you want to be able to do that for you? So being able to have someone in place to be able to take care of those things for you. So that's a big one for sure.
Number 3?
Number 3 is the healthcare power of attorney. So like the general durable, but this one is just for healthcare decisions. So who do you want to be able to make healthcare decisions for you if you're unable to? So maybe you're unconscious, or maybe you were in surgery and somebody needs to make a decision on what happens next. Maybe you're just on a lot of pain medications because of an injury or something and can't make cognitive decisions. Who do you want those people to be for you?
Okay.
So that's an important one as well.
All right. And what's the next document?
The next one is your living will. And for lack of a gentler term, it's the pull the plug document. So if you're in a permanently comatose state, in a terminal condition, and deemed by at least 2 physicians to not have the ability to regain normal cognitive function, what you want to have happen, that you just want to be allowed to pass peacefully, but in comfort. So just being administered comfort care, not life-saving measures. I will tell you, we went through the loss of my dad last year, and being able to have that document in place, knowing things he didn't want to happen and things he wanted to happen, was a huge relief for all of us, because we knew exactly what he wanted to happen. So we were able to honor his wishes and make sure that was what happened, instead of having to deliberate between all of us and try to make, as you said, that very emotional, sometimes guilt-ridden decision. So being able to have things like that in place to allow your family to be able to carry out your wishes and knowing exactly what they were.
And I would imagine that it also stops any disputes that
Yes,
some people might think this is the right thing to do, and other people might think this is, and that can cause a lot of dissension, a lot of arguments, and maybe even division in the family.
correct. And lots of additional stress and emotional distress that nobody needs any more of that, dealing with situations like that to begin with. So allowing things to be as easy for everyone as possible. Yeah, we will definitely be forever thankful to him for having those things in place, and not putting us in the position of, during that emotional time, having to make these big decisions. They were already made.
And what's the final document?
The final one is the HIPAA document. And that one we all fill out almost every time we go to the doctors. You know, it's that last piece of paper they slide to you. Who do you want us to be able to talk to? We go ahead and complete that for the families we serve, so that when they're going to the doctors, or they can take it and keep it on file at the doctors, the hospital, any specialists that they see. So you don't have to fill it out every time you go. You just pull it out of your binder, make a copy, make a bunch of copies, take it with you. It's already done. So just having that in place as well, and knowing who you selected, right? So you're not having to think about that each time you go. It's already done. So those are the 5 basic or foundational documents that our attorneys recommend anyone over the age of 18 have on file.
If you want to learn more about these documents or need more information, just visit jarvisfirm.com or check out Jarvis Law Office on Facebook. And up next for mature audiences, our most colorful segment to date. We'll introduce you to a guest who uses artistic creation and expression as a form of therapy and a key to aging awesomely. So stay right here.